on the ground, like they always say.
A very good morning to you, Trevor, and today is a big day as everyone is now waiting what the Supreme Court will be deciding today, whether the reggae will be revived or the BBI again will fall. And in Uasin Gishu, there are mixed reactions about this same issue. But I'm privileged to have Wakili here. Wakili, good morning, and maybe what are your views, if you can just look at the camera straight, what are your views? Today is a big day, Supreme Court, what is your expectation?
My expectations are that the BBI judgment will be delivered today, one, upholding the decision of the High Court and the decision of the Court of Appeal. Those are my expectations.
Why would you just say that those are your expectations, and don't you think BBI has any benefits to Kenyans and especially everyone, plus you?
The BBI document was not entirely a bad document. For the following reason. One is that the BBI document proposed 70 new constituencies. That was as good as devolving the fund from, or rather, taking more fund to the people in terms of the constituency development fund. Two, there will be one other key issue that will be dealt with by the Supreme Court, and that is whether the president can be sued in his own capacity. I think that is one of the key issues that will be dealt with by the Supreme Court. The other issue is if the president can initiate a popular initiative. I think as per the Constitution, that is an issue that was donated to the Wanjiku. That is the common man and not the president. Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much. So, according to you, it's not going to pass?
The chances of BBI passing is extremely slim.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Wakili. Mr. Kirui, your name and your views, unafikiria leo BBI inapita, haipiti, na pengine kama unaona iko na umuhimu kwa Wakenya?
Majina yangu ni Kimtai Kirui. I'm from Center Against Torture. BBI kupita ama kutopita ni jukumu la mahakama, because this is an issue that is pending before a court of law, Supreme Court. Supreme Court has the original and appellate jurisdiction to determine on such matters. So it's irrespective if the High Court or the Appellate Court decided otherwise. Supreme Court has its own jurisdiction. It has its own mind to determine the direction BBI can take. However, the expectations on the ground is for or against the Reggae Brigade or the Ruta Brigade, which is immaterial here, because a court of law bases its own findings on the law and the Constitution, the evidence, law, and the Constitution. So my expectation is hinged on that, the law and the Constitution. Okay. The Supreme Court should not depart away from the Constitution.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kirui. Sheikh Abubakar Bini, maoni yako ni yapi kuhusiana leo, siku hii muhimu sana katika mahakama kuu?
Hii ni siku ya muhimu ya uamuzi wa mahakama kuu kuhusiana na mambo ya BBI. Maoni yetu ni mafupi sana. Kitakachoamuliwa leo tungewaomba Wakenya wayakubali, kwa sababu BBI imekuwa hii ni mara ya 3 kwenda mahakamani. Kitu muhimu kuwe na amani. Litakachopitika, ikiwa imekubalika BBI ya Wakenya, ikikatalika waliokataa ni Wakenya, lakini umuhimu wadumishe amani wa Kenya, kwa sababu isije BBI ikaja ikatugawanya, na ili hali joto kidogo lilikuwa limetulia. Wacha akili yote ilenge katika uchaguzi. Baada ya kumaliza uchaguzi tuone kutakuwa na nini, lakini kwa leo tuwe na joto kutatokea nini, ili sioni jambo la busara. Lazima kuwe na amani.
Naam. Thank you very much, Sheikh Abubakar Bini. Trevor, as you have heard from those three, we have sampled their opinion. You clearly hear that they have their divided opinion, and they are saying that today, being a big day for the Supreme Court to decide whatever they are going to decide, Kenyans should remain united, whatever the court will decide today. So, Trevor, we're still here. We will be checking and crisscrossing this county just to hear what Kenyans have or what they're expecting from the ruling. Trevor.
Thanks, John. John Wanyama there speaking to the residents of Eldoret to find out what their thoughts are. We await the Supreme decision by the Supreme Court judges. 7 of them are coming through in the next 20 or so minutes to give their verdict. This, remember, is a legal battle. Started at the court, went to the Court of Appeal. Now it's at the Supreme Court where there's going to be a final decision today. Let's cross over to Nyeri where Martin Munene is standing by with the latest as well. Martin, good morning. It's also good to see you there. What are the sentiments of the people as we await the Supreme Court decision?
All right, very good morning to you, Trevor, from Nyeri County. And like you've said, everyone is waiting for this judgment. I must say Nyeri was one of the counties that did give, or the county assemblies did give a clean bill of health to that BBI process. But what are the people saying? I have with me a few people here, and one of them is a woman leader in Nyeri County. Let us just get to hear what they have to say concerning the ruling. A very good morning to you. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us, what do you expect? Do you expect the BBI to pass or to fail? And maybe what does that mean to you as a Nyeri resident?
Thank you so much. My name is Rose Waboi Waikudi. I'm from Nyeri County, aspirant for the position of County Woman Rep. One thing we are expecting today, that the highest court in the land and the judges will give a very different ruling from what has happened in the past, because we believe that they will not wholly dismiss the BBI document. We hope that they will give it a chance for review, because part and much of what is in that document is good. But if they nullify the whole process, then it will require all the stakeholders to sit back, and this will mean that we as women might not get a full representation or that of representation in both houses in the coming general elections. But if they will again rule in the favor of this document, then it will mean that the position of the county woman rep will be no more. And that position will be taken to the Senate, which is a big blow also to us as women, because in the current state, the office of woman rep has a fund. And if that position will be nullified and taken to the Senate, then it will require a process to register it a law that will again give this office a budget. So in whichever way the document goes, it has advantages and disadvantages, and so we will be very comfortable as a nation, because what is very important is the unity of this nation, and we will be very comfortable with whichever direction this document will take, provided the unity of our people will be protected and will be retained even as we approach this a very tough season. Yes.
And maybe as I let you go, there's the question of unity and there's the question of the impact this will have on the elections that are coming up. Do you think it will have a bearing towards the general election in August?
Yeah, it will really determine the width, all the direction of voting in the next general elections, bearing in mind that there is one political move that is supporting it and another move that is not supporting it. So we believe that today's ruling will really give direction on how the general election results will look like, especially in various voting blocks.
All right.
Yes.
All right. When we speak to a final person here, kindly introduce yourself and tell us, what are your thoughts concerning today's ruling? Do you expect a win or a loss, and what will that mean to you as a Nyeri resident?
Okay, majina yangu naitwa Samuel Mugo. Siku ya leo ni siku ya muhimu sana kwa hii ruling ya BBI. Kwetu kama watu wa biashara, tunaomba hii BBI ipite na majaji wafanye haki, watupatie haki ya Wakenya, especially wale tulikuwa tunataka ipite. Kwa hii mambo ya one man, one vote, one shilling upande wa Mount Kenya region, tungeomba tupatiwe haki yetu kupitia hii BBI, hii ruling ya leo. Yeah.
All right, he says that he expects a favorable ruling, but also a very important thing that is coming out is the fact that it could have a political bearing, especially in the forthcoming election. Back to you in studio, Trevor, from Nyeri County. Martin Munene.
Thank you so much, Martin. That's Martin Munene speaking to us live from Nyeri and speaking to the people as well. They are trying to find out what their thoughts are on the Supreme Court decision that is going to happen in the next 10 or so minutes. Let's cross over to the Supreme Court where Francis Gashuri is standing by there to give us what is happening right now. Francis, good morning. It's good to see you, senior. And now, the fundamental issues being raised today by the Supreme Court judges, right? Just walk us through some of them.
Very well. Good morning, Trevor. Of course, our former chairman of that association. And I also have with me a former president here. So I will be linking the former president and the former chairman in a short while. But we are at the Supreme Court. This is the center of attention, national attention, if you may like, because this is where that decision will be made. And the judges are ready. We are told they should be here at about 9 o'clock or thereabout. This is a decision that has been made by 12 judges previously, and so 7 more judges will be making that decision. So in total, the BBI matter will have been dealt with by close of business today by 19 judges. You can imagine how momentous such a decision is. And of course, it is a decision that also will set the stage, not even for presently amending the Constitution, but even in the future, laying the ground for how the Constitution should be amended. Security is quite tight here at the Supreme Court buildings. Only those accredited are being allowed in here. The lawyers, members of the media, only those who have been accredited are being allowed here. And let me speak to Nelson Harvey, former president of the Law Society of Kenya, if you may like, President Emeritus of the Law Society of Kenya. It seems like life outside Gitanga Road is quite more interesting than it was while you were there.
Yes, of course, it is interesting because we have accomplished what we undertook to do at the Law Society of Kenya. And right now we're doing what we're supposed to do for the people of Kenya through Westlands constituency.
Now, the decision that is being made by the judges today, the country is expectant. There are those who support the process, there are those who do not support the process. I will not engage you on the merit and demerit of whichever decision the judges will be making, but what are your expectations?
Well, pivotal in today's decision by the Supreme Court is the question as to whether the court of the last mistake, the highest court in Kenya, will allow an attempt to dismember the Constitution and give the elite, a few individuals, the power to allocate power to themselves, or seek to protect the will of the people of Kenya and give the people of Kenya the opportunity to demand of the people who they elected into office to implement the Constitution. It is those two premises that will determine what comes out of today's decision.
Having participated in the High Court process, the Court of Appeal process, and the Supreme Court process, is there anything that would surprise you if that decision at the High Court and the Court of Appeal was to be overturned? Is there such one particular thing that you'd say maybe that one could have triggered that change of decision?
Well, judges decide based upon facts at the law. The facts that were presented before the High Court did not change when we went to the Court of Appeal. And remember, the Supreme Court does not examine facts. It only deals with issues that are brought before it, and these are issues of law. The issues that were discussed before the Court of Appeal are one that I can say are not subject to two interpretations. I will therefore be profoundly surprised if the decision of the Court of Appeal were to be overturned by the Supreme Court.
Whichever way this decision goes, it has far-reaching political and legal consequences. Let's touch on the political consequences, for example. What would it be? How would it look like politically for our country if the decision was to go either way?
There is a popular view that if the decision of the Court of Appeal is overturned by the Supreme Court, then it will enhance the quest by Prime Minister Raila Odinga in his presidential election bid. Another view is that if this decision of the Supreme Court affirms the judgment of the Court of Appeal, then the majority of the people of Kenya will be assuaged in their fear against those few who want to dismember the Constitution. So those are the two premises politically.
Now, let's also look at the process of amending the Constitution. Would you say that finally there will be better direction, clearer direction on how this process should be undertaken as a result of what will be pronounced by the judges today?
Absolutely yes, because the Supreme Court is the highest court in Kenya, and whatever decision they make will be the one that will be the law. So to that extent, if they say the Constitution may be amended in the manner intended by the BBI bill, then that will be the law. If they say the Constitution cannot be amended in the manner intended by the BBI bill, then this will be the end of this race.
Thank you very much. Please go and have your seat there, because if you don't have a position there, you will not be allowed in. And Trevor, that is the situation here at the Supreme Court, that decision being awaited. And I can see quite a number of lawyers making their way here. I've seen former Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai is here. I've seen James Orengo, Senior Counsel, is here, and quite a number of other lawyers who have made their way here at the Supreme Court. And so that gives you a clearer indicator that any time from now, the 7 judges of the Supreme Court will be here to render that judgment that is being awaited for by the country with a lot of patience. Back to you, Trevor.
Well, thanks, Gashuri. Francis Gashuri, they're speaking to us live from Supreme Court. Remember, there's a court order keeping me as the substantive chairman, Gashuri, and now you're already in court, so we'll deal with you after this. Let's cross over to Laura Otieno, standing by in Kisumu, to give us the latest on the details there. Laura, good morning. It's good to see you. So what's happening on the ground there, and what are the people's expectations?
Well, indeed, Trevor, there are mixed reactions here in Kisumu, because if you remember, Kisumu County was one of the top 10 counties to unanimously pass the BBI bill. And one of the arguments they were putting across is that there was adequate public participation in the county in regards to that document. So I'm here with the residents themselves to get it straight from the horse's mouth. Start with your name and tell us, what do you expect from the judgment at the Supreme Court today?
My name is George Collins Oward. I work for Transform Empowerment for Action Initiative. One of the things that are very critical, and I want to believe is going to help us, is that for the first time the Supreme Court is going to pronounce itself on quite a number of issues that came up, like the structure, like the issues about the boundaries, etc., etc. And I do believe that this is a great moment for Kenya, so that we will be able to know whether we are governed by the rule of the law or we are not governed by the rule of law. So it is an exciting moment where we want to see the arguments were there. Many people did their presentations and a lot of things have happened, but above all, it's a question of whether there is constitutionalism, there is the respect of the rule of law or not. And again, it also talks about the separation of power. For instance, when we are talking about delimitation of boundaries, when we are talking about who should start a popular initiative, it is going to be a very good environment for even Kenyans like me to also learn that if I am supposed to do an amendment, what are the procedures and how best can I do it? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Start with your name and then tell us, what do you think this judgment today, whether it goes in favor of the BBI or against it, what do you think it means for the common Mwananchi?
Thank you. My name is George Kopala, a resident of Kisumu. My honest opinion is that I know judges will focus much on the process, and what we've seen in the past, people have identified areas of where the Constitution is violated and all that. Now, lack of proper involvement of the people and all that. And therefore, I honestly believe that the judges will focus so much in making sure that the rule of law is maintained, and that the people are also get their right by way of making sure that their involvement is not wished away. I know in one way or the other, and from where I sit, this is a process that for me is already overtaken by events. Like, for example, there are a number of things that were suggested that would affect the election, and here we are, the elections are on and or scheduled, and therefore, if, for example, this ruling comes in favor of the applicants, then that would mean that not so much of what was suggested in terms of repeal of certain sections that would affect our election will not materialize, because our elections are on. But again, from where I sit, I truly believe that some of the things that were suggested or proposed in forms of amendments were to help in bringing sanity in the way we do our elections, and even helping people economically. But again, the timing, as I said, this is something that is already overtaken by events. Maybe a positive ruling will only help us in the future, but not in this coming election. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Start with your name as well and tell us, there's been a lot of political clout around the BBI. So what do you think all this, the implication of that is to maybe not just to the judgment, but really to the outcome, really according to a common Mwananchi's perspective?
My name's Lawrence Apio, or Apio. I work for Grassroots Trusts. I'm also a leader in East Asembo, Siaya County. Now,
My take on this is that today is going to be a great day for Kenya. This is Kenyan Day, not any side, not any political side, but a Kenyan Day. Now, the trajectory had been drawn by the change agents of this country, and we know one of the leading persons in this dispensation is a real change agent. And at the grassroots level, we have change agents who are going to continue driving this process. So whatever the ruling, we are going to make sure that the change that we wanted to see happens after the elections. And now, why I say this is this is a great day. The ruling is going to be a reference point in the legal fraternity for a long time. Now, the Constitution is not like a love letter you read and you understand immediately. It's a double-edged sword, and that's why we need legal minds to interpret it for prosperity. So whatever the judges, ruling the judges will give shall be used for future references and for us to build on it to make sure that the change that we wanted happens. A lot of legal minds, like Roberts of university in USA, that professor's mind and others, the legal input that they made into this process, that package, it's like a pot that is boiling. So what we are going to see is going to be something which will be very helpful in the legal circles and our governance system. So we pray that no politician takes advantage of like saying the ruling is this way, so we are the winners or we are the losers. There is no loser, there is no winner in this. It is about Kenya and where we want to go as a country. So this is going to inform that way we want to go.
The issue of public participation is one of the 7 issues that were being contested in the Supreme Court. You say you are a leader in the grassroots level.
Yes.
Do you think there is adequate understanding of what really the BBI process and the document is about in the grassroots levels, down in Seme and the smaller villages?
Of course, as a citizen, and many of the people of this country know exactly what we want. Number one, we want inclusivity in government, and that is what BBI proposes, and which ways would ensure that. The other thing is public participation is a critical element in the making of any law and in development per se. So we are, and those are critical things that people talk about every day. We want to be included. We want our voices heard. The issue of ethnicity, the tribalism, exclusions, we want the Constitution to deal with. So those are things that resonate with the people of Kenya and at the grassroots level. And this is why, as I speak in these elections, people have said no to the 3 Ps because they want to participate by voting the person they want, in total disregard of which party whose ticket you have. We want to vote people who will perform, who will take us to another level, not political parties. Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Trevor. As you have heard, those are the sentiments of some of the Kisumu residents. But of course, we will be on standby right after the judgment to take more opinions of people, just to understand whether or not they are in agreement, or they will be they will be in sync, rather, with the judgment that will be coming from the Supreme Court today. So that is all we have from Kisumu, Trevor. Of course, we'll be on standby with the latest to update you as and when we get new information.
Thanks, Laura. Laura, they're speaking to us from Kisumu and speaking to the people on the expectations on the ground as the BBI Supreme Court verdict is coming up in just a few minutes. Let's cross over back to the Supreme Court where the action is, and Francis Gashuri is still standing by there with more and more legal minds to analyze what the possible outcomes are, the impact on the election that is just 131 days from today. Gashuri?
Very well, Trevor again. More and more lawyers continue to find their way here. Let me talk to Ndegwa Njiro. I'm also trying to see whether I can be able to speak to James Orengo, Senior Counsel. Ndegwa, welcome to Citizen TV. Expectations for the judgment that will be rendered today. Yeah. What would be your expectations and why?
Well, we expect that the Supreme Court is going to pronounce itself and give back the people's power to where it was. Because the two superior courts, the Court of Appeal and the High Court, they have denied and taken the people's power and the mandate to determine the form and the manner and the nature of the government they would want. For example, when the Court of Appeal and the High Court upheld that the basic structure is applicable in the Republic of Kenya, it simply meant that Kenyans cannot amend their constitution in the manner in which they so wish and they so determine. So we're expecting that the Supreme Court will settle that water and give back the people the sovereignty that they deserve. Secondly, we expect that the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, will deal with the issues of the primary and the secondary constituent assemblies and powers, as defined by the Court of Appeal, in the sense that even the current constitution that we have was not brought forth through those constituency assemblies or constituency assemblies or primary or secondary powers. So we expect the people of Kenya will be able to determine a moment and a government that they so decide. The other thing we expect the Supreme Court to deal with is a question of the representation of the people. Remember, the BBI had proposed that we would have an increment of 70 more constituencies. It goes to deal with the crux of the matter on the question of people's representation, and most importantly, the question of equal, equitable, and fair representation. And my argument is simple, that a free and fair election is not just determined by the counting, the actual and accurate counting of votes. No. It is also determined by the fact that once you cast your vote will result in the intended, will yield the intended results. For example, once the people of Ruiru cast their vote will be equal to the vote that has been cast in the constituency in Wajir or in constituency in Garissa, in the sense that the power of the vote will be equal.
But at the same time, Wakili, this is a decision that can go either way.
Yes.
You were part of the team that was supporting the BBI process. Yes, yes. I spoke not so long ago to Nelson Harvey. Yes. He was on the opposite part of the team. Yes. So this is a decision that could go either way. It has political and legal consequences. Exactly. I want to engage you on those two. Yes. The political and legal consequences of the decision that will be made here, even if the decision goes either way.
Yeah, on the political consequences of the decision, one, the people of Kenya will have lost if they will not be able to make a determination of how many people should represent them. On the political matrix of the 2022 presidential elections, if we lose, then it might be a big blow to us. But it will be a big blow to the people of Kenya in the sense that they will not be able to determine the form and the nature of the government they so wish. If the other side win, it means that they are going to take it as